All right, lads, welcome to the Internet Money Podcast today. It's going to be a quick episode, and I'm going to talk to you about this concept of you need to survive long enough to get noticed. And this is really about content creation, but it could be applied to business in general. So let me take you back to when I started the Building Web3 podcast, and this was in May. You might be like, Building Web3 podcast? It's the Internet Money Podcast. What are you talking about? Well, I have another podcast in the crypto space. I do podcasting for a living, boys. Like many creators, I was putting in a ton of work. So I started in May. I initially started, I think, about 2 interviews a day. Then I switched to pretty much daily interviews. And I was putting in a lot of work, and it felt like nothing was really happening. I couldn't get the quality of guests that I want. And for months, I was grinding, creating episodes, trying to really improve the content. But the results, truthfully, although I didn't want to admit it at the time, were quite minimum. We're talking low downloads, not a lot of connections. But I began, after that, I began doubting whether this was all worth it. Like I'd sometimes lay in bed at night and be like, am I going to really make it? Like, am I just going to run out of money? And every day, I was putting in a lot of effort, and there were moments when it felt like I was never going to see results, and the uncertainty was real. So if you're going through this right now, I really sympathize, and there's still moments I feel this. And I never knew whether I'd actually break through. Like I had this confidence that I had to tell myself every day that I would break through, but there were moments where you just felt like it wasn't going to happen. And meanwhile, I'm watching some of my other friends blow up on social media in different niches, but blow up, and wondering what they were doing different. Like, was it just a skill issue? Was it 100% that I just need to make better content? And part of it is that's the one nice thing is you just need to survive long enough to get noticed. You need to continue to improve. But it felt like everyone else had it figured out. And here I was putting in a lot of effort, if not more effort, just still waiting for my moment. And that's when I realized something crucial, because I was reading a book by Russell Brunson called Expert Secrets. I highly recommend it. It's the only thing, standing between you and success is like, you just need to survive long enough to get noticed. He also has this other phrase in there. He says, if you do a piece of content every single day for the next 365 days, like if you create a podcast channel and you publish every single day for the next 365 days, you'll never have to worry about money again. So those two things, survive long enough to get noticed, and if you create every single day, you'll never worry about money again after a year. Those really stuck in my mind. And the formula wasn't just to create good content. You could create one good piece of content and never be discovered, but it's to survive long enough to be consistent enough to get noticed. And it's about lasting through these doldrum periods where you feel like you're not making much progress, just continuing to show up, continuing to do the work. And even when it feels like nothing's happening. And I recognize that the consistent effort I was putting in was going to compound over time. Having 30 videos is a lot different than having 90 videos, and it could be that 91st video. It, in my experience, takes a full 90 days to really start seeing the results. It's not saying you won't see any results before then, but to start seeing some of the bigger results, it'll take about 90 days. And then another 90 days on top of that, I'm still in that second 90-day period where the results are really compounding. And I'm thinking right now, it's going to take about 6 months to really see the full fruits of my labor, and probably another year on top of that. Most of my friends who have like really crazy salaries, it took them about like 2 years. It's not to say that they didn't get to like 10K relatively fast, or they didn't get to certain milestones, but to really have those like 100K months, it took them a good bit of time. And that's when it clicked for me. I made the decision right there that I was going to outlast these early struggles. Like I was going to focus on just putting out more volume. Alex Hormozy says this is be impatient with the result, be patient with the results, impatient with the inputs. So send more cold calls, create more content, and be really impatient with that. So I set that clear goal to keep pushing forward no matter what. Like I just wasn't going to quit. And instead of focusing on immediate results, which I still struggle with sometimes, I focus on being consistent over the long haul. And of course, the next few months, it didn't really come magically. It wasn't like, oh my God, all these amazing guests that I had to put in a lot of work. And there were moments when I really did. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to stop, but like you get this shiny object syndrome where you're like, maybe this is better. Maybe this other podcast is better. And there's still days where I question the effort and whether it's all worth it and it's going to pay off. But I keep reminding myself, you just need to survive long enough to get noticed, and you'll get noticed. I mean, there's probably only like 3 or 4 active crypto podcasts that aren't like just shilling things, and the others can survive. So it's just being one of those people that can just stay in the game long enough. So fast forward to today, and we're starting to see major results. I have my first client. We're in talks with other clients, and I've been working towards this for very long. And it didn't happen in the first month. Heck, it didn't even happen in the second month. And it barely happened in the third month. And I suspect it'll be around the fifth or sixth month that I really start to see things click. And I'm sure I'm going to look back and be like, how did I ever doubt myself? But if you're in this moment, everyone feels this way. And, it's just the compounding effort of consistent work that will make your stuff undeniable. Daniel Fazio has this quote. He's like, put in so much effort that it would be unreasonable that you were to fail. And I really like that. So to leave you with it, 3 paraphrased quotes. It's put in so much effort that it would be unreasonable that you fail. Survive long enough to get noticed. And if you publish content every single day, 365 on a platform, you'll never have to worry about money again. So until the next episode of Internet Money Boys, let's keep creating.